Welcome to the Dwayne Kerrigan podcast, and I'm your host, Dwayne Kerrigan. With 35 years in business and close to 30 ventures across 12 industries, I've seen a lot. Amid the celebrity allure of entrepreneurship, many exceptional entrepreneurs remain shadowed. Here, I team up with these hidden talents to unveil their challenges and successes. Dive in with me to unearth entrepreneurial gems, learn from our experiences, and get educated. Hey everybody, this is part 2 of a conversation with Tod Melnyk from Dan Martell's media organization. If you didn't hear the first part, go back to last week as usual. Really solid business conversation in operations and execution with some amazing details. And then come back for this week. Tune in to hear we talk about 5 daily non-negotiables and AI adoption and their bold goal for AI this year. And so it's a worthwhile conversation. We appreciate you guys being with us. Thanks for sharing. Thanks for subscribing. That's what keeps us going, and we are beyond grateful. So thanks very much, guys. Is there some logs of lessons learned, or some if you had the opportunity to do a do-over on one or two things, what would be the key pieces on the handoff that you guys kind of learned through it?
Just what the expectations are.
Expectations.
Like, what are your expectations of me? I mean, I remember my first day. I think we were probably in this office, which was Dan's at the time. And my first day was, we're having a discussion and somebody came in and asked, he's like, we're going through and he's like, okay, so what are you responsible for? Okay, I'm responsible for, revenue. Like, basically I was responsible for everything. Like, it was clear from day one.
Yep.
Not you're doing this and I'm doing that. No, you are. And then we just sort of worked out over time as our confidence and trust grew, that relationship is that much stronger, and we know each other's roles, and I think we play really well. My style, like, we have similar styles, but I take what his, what some of the intensity could be direct, and I can take that and then I can distill it down into the organization. But it's still in the same manner. The standards are still held the same kind of thing. And so we play really well off our leadership styles, if you will.
I'm curious, like, as you were saying that, it's like, it sounds like your whole evolution was very evolved. Probably it sounds like more evolved than, say, the average person, and which is not surprising because Dan, like, I mean, he's been around the block and he knows this stuff and he's coaches this stuff and he has trained it for years and he's learned from some of the best in the world. And what would be some of if you were to talk to a CEO or owner, what would be some of the pieces of advice you would give around their process of bringing somebody in that is going to take over the business kind of side of their lives all of a sudden?
I think the biggest piece that I would give is to whoever you hire, is to allow them to shadow you for at least 30 days. Every single meeting, everything you do, you are there. So for example, is when I hired a new executive assistant, she comes to me, she still does, comes to all my meetings. Number one is, especially if you're hiring like a top operator, they get to see how you think. They get context to the business. And then at the end of each meetings, you ask that person, what did they see? What did they observe? And what are their takeaways? It is the single biggest way to get somebody up to speed quickly and have an alignment and have context and have those discussions. It's the best way. That would be my advice.
That's awesome. Like, that's a really great piece of advice, actually. And that doesn't have to be like, I just want to frame this for the listeners. Like, that does not need, you don't need to have 50 or 100 employees or whatever size of business in order to do that. This could be your second or third employee in your business, that we often want to hire them and then just throw them to the wolves, but rather than just letting them kind of exist inside the business with the owner so that they, they, like you said, see how I think and then get context on the business.
Yeah, I remember when I first started as a sales rep in the beer business, and I got placed with a really seasoned rep at the time. He was the best rep that they had, and I basically shadowed him for a year.
Wow.
6 months of just did everything with him, and then 6 months we actually did both of our territories together. So he would come with me on my sales calls, and I would still go with him. And that, if I look back, that was the single biggest thing that allowed me to be successful at that at such a young age, because I had him to watch and see how he did it, right? And so no different than we're doing it now is like, well, why wouldn't I have somebody shadow? Sometimes you go, oh, I don't know if I want that person to, hear that, but yeah, you do.
Yeah.
Like, just open it up. I mean, the more that you give people like access and open, like, you can't do this. So the other thing that we do is we give everybody everything from day one. Here you go. Right? Doesn't mean I'm going to, but it's over to you. And those first 90 days are probably going to be the toughest things that you ever done, but I'm giving all to you because that's why I hired you. Yeah. Like, I'm not, you have a 90-day plan, which I get, how you're going to get up to speed, but it's like, at the end of the day, it's all here, head of revenue. It's all you. You're now in charge. Yeah, we'll have our one-on-ones. You're going to shadow me, all that kind of stuff, but it's over to you. You got it all.
So there's no phase in of the business or pieces of the business. You just kind of like, hey, this is what we hired you for, and we're going to start day one.
Yeah, add value. Now, does it take some time to learn the business a little bit? Sure. But a quicker way to do it is shadow people.
Right.
You get contacts right away.
I love it. Love it. Since we're talking about the business, you want to bring us up to speed on what you guys are doing on the media side and it's the AI, please, just.
Yeah, I mean the media side, the media business is really creating content in around Dan. Obviously, Dan is known as a business guy, so we focus on being business centric, if you will. But I think the awesome thing about Dan is he's got so much. He's just not a business guy, but he's got so many other things. Like, he's married to an awesome woman, Renee. He's got 2 great kids, Max and Noah. His mindset is super cool. He loves to have a lot of fun, so that he's not only a business guy, but he's got full spectrum, if you will. And so we love for that to showcase as well too, because there's not too many people, I don't believe, that have that sort of operate at the level that he does and have, an awesome relationship with their spouse and their kids and all that kind of stuff. And so we want to showcase that. So that's really what we do around there. And then we have a coaching business, which Dan does around group coaching, one-on-one coaching. We do events. So we do a social selling summit event, which we do in Kelowna. We do an AI adoption event, 1-day event. We do empire builders, which we typically do one in Kelowna and one somewhere else, depending on where Dan's traveling. And so that's sort of the media side, if you will. And it's been it's been phenomenal. I mean, just watching Dan's brand grow over the last 2 years, it's been phenomenal. But, if you look back, Dan's been posting content for the last 16 years. It's just now that people are sort of getting noticed about it, which, he kind of laughs as people are like, well, how did you get started? And he's like, well, I've been posting consistently for the last 16 years. So go back to those videos and watch how I was there and how I've evolved. Right. And that's not just by chance or luck. That's by Dan being super intentional about, going all in 2 years ago on this media thing, and then, learning the skills and developing the skills that he wants in order to, to be humanity's biggest cheerleader, if you will. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm curious, what's your takeaway on and I don't want to, a lot of people would use the word balance. not so sure it's a word I use, but he has this, you know, he's known as a business guy. I completely agree with you. Like he's known as a business guy, but really he has this, he's evolved as this, I'd say, whole life, person. Integrated maybe might be a word, but I don't know. I don't want to, you can pick your word, working with him and knowing him. But how does he kind of evolve that and kind of make that all happen for himself?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's something that we teach, entrepreneurs, and it's even in the book Buy Back Your Time. It's really about creating a business that you grow, that you don't hate. And so the idea really is to integrate everything. Like, why not? Why do you have to have a separate business life? Why do you have to have a separate, personal life? If you can integrate everything and then you have something that you love to do and you're living your life at the same time. Right. So I don't really believe in the balance thing either. I mean, there's times that you have to work harder and there's times whatever, but if you figure out a way to integrate, your workouts, and like, it goes back to what's important to you, right? If your relationship is important to you, then why don't you put in your schedule that you're going to have a date night every single Wednesday night? Like, what's wrong with that? If working out's important to you, make sure that's in your calendar. And then I think the cool thing is figuring out how for me, it's always about, I have energy at different parts of the day, and then going, okay, in the mornings, this is the best time for me to do these types of activities because I can power through that. In the afternoon, it looks like this. So I'm constantly building I have a set calendar, but I change it knowing I want to make sure that my energy is there for the tasks that I'm trying to do. And then Saturdays and Sundays, people goes, I stop on the weekends, right? And then I kind of continue on Mondays. If you just think of your life as your life, you just keep rolling. It doesn't mean that you don't have fun and all that kind of stuff. It's just you're planning all that kind of stuff within it. And so if you're traveling for business, go have some fun. Like, what does that look like?
This is, I think this is a really important point and conversation that a lot of people struggle with, especially as business owners, and especially like in the early days of your business, because it can be a grind. It can take some serious energy and effort, and then you can simply develop some really poor habits around neglecting intimate relationships because you're prioritizing, and you fall into a story of, wow, it's only for a little while, it won't last forever. It's like, oh, I can do this for a year, I can do whatever. And I think, look, there's, like you said, balance is, I agree with that. It's like, there's, what's really balance? Like sometimes you're into a week where it's like 18 hours a day and this is the way it is. And but you've got to then get back to the core. So, I mean, in your coaching businesses, how do you guys deal with this inside, say for listeners like ours, what would they expect from you guys? What would they learn? How would you guys deal with this? Like, how do you integrate it, help them integrate it into their daily lives? Because it's like, you can read it in a book, but how do you really actually make it happen and get rubber to the road?
Yeah, I mean, I think we call it 5 daily non-negotiables, right? And so everybody has to do 5 daily non-negotiables that come into our program. And so, one of them is you need to work out every single day. You need to talk to your camera 3 times a day. So you're posting content 3 times a day. You're reviewing your goals every single day, at least, twice a day. So as those 5 daily non-negotiables, if you're on a call with Dan, a coaching call, let's say, so Dan does a weekly coaching call, and he'll do a framework that he teaches everybody about, and then and then after that it's Q&A, so people can ask questions. If you haven't done your 5 daily non-negotiables, you can't ask the question, and he'll check. So, for example, on your camera, so it's kind of interesting, right? People will be like, well, I don't need to talk on, I don't like talking in the camera. I don't want to post anything. Well, it really doesn't have to do with that. It actually has to do with building confidence. because if I don't really like to do it, but I continue to try and force myself to do it, because if you look at the camera and it brings out all the insecurities that you may think about yourself, right? I got big ears, got no hair, or like whatever it happens to be, right? My smile's not great, teeth, whatever. And so by doing that, you're facing those and you're becoming more confident. If you become more confident, guess what? That's going to show in your business. That's going to show in your personal life. It's just a fact, right? So we have people that get on and go, okay, hey, Dan, I got this question, and we'll check to see if they've actually posted recently. If they haven't, be like, sorry, go do that, and you can ask next time.
That's
and
awesome.
He holds that standard. Like, he doesn't deviate.
I think I missed a couple on the 5 daily non-negotiables. I got workout, 3 posts on camera, review goals. What the other 2 that I missed?
Read 10 pages a day.
Oh, okay.
And reach out to 5 people every single day. 5 reach outs.
And are those reach outs, are there parameters around that? Is that a business thing, or is that
it's
a
typically
social
around
thing,
business, right? So you're reaching out to build your network or to get, leads in.
Okay. So it's like that's a business, like, okay, got it.
Yeah. You could also do it in personally, right? If you want to continue to build your network, reach out to people that you want to connect with.
Sorry, I was just writing those down. So I got 5 daily non-negotiables, workout, 3 posts on camera, which as soon as you said that, I know Heather was like, you need to do that more.
Yeah.
I love doing the podcast. I like having these conversations, but holy shit, am I bad on reels and posts and stuff like that. And you're right. Like you look at that and you go, like, I remember when I launched the podcast, I'm like, oh my God, I sound like a moron. Like, my voice is awful. And, oh my God, I get my teeth fixed. And it's horrible. So sorry, 3 posts on camera, review goals, read 10 pages, and 5 reach outs, which these are phenomenal. What does the framework look like around the coaching for you guys? Like, how do you do that? I mean, look, I'm a big believer in coaching, and anywhere I can promote, our listeners to go out and get coaches that have a great framework like this. Like, this is a really, really good, solid framework. I'm a big proponent of that because, I always say it's like, you got to have people around you that are going to tell you that your breath stink. And it's so important to have, that reflection, that look in the mirror. And and even I fall into this. Like, I haven't had a coach actually in a couple of years, and I probably need to do that. Just to be able to, for the exact same reasons I just said, is like, hold that mirror up and go, are we actually like really tracking exactly what we desire most versus what we think we should be doing? And so anyways, I'm curious, like, what's the framework? How do you guys teach it? Where are the struggles and the roadblocks in these 5? And
yeah, it's group coaching, which Dan does every single week. It's on Zoom, and the framework really is around models that he'll teach around marketing, sales, systems, processes. So he does that for sort of 15, 20 minutes, and then it's an open Q&As that people bring sort of questions that they have around their business, and they can ask questions as long as they do their 5 daily non-negotiables. And it's a super high caliber community that we have in there, that people can network with one another. And it's pretty phenomenal. And there's all sorts of different businesses and people at different levels. And then we have our different events, like our Empire Builders is a 2-day event, but that's for people that already have at 7 figures. And so they're facing a different challenge, right? And they want to get more intimate knowledge of sort of the roadblocks or things that they need to get done. So we do different things like that as well too.
Right.
Yeah.
And you guys are doing some, you have that AI adoption program that you're teaching. What does that look like? Because I think
that's not a program. So we have a company called Martell Ventures, which is basically focused on AI, incubating AI companies. And then we have an event through Martell Media, and that's called AI Adoption Summit. It's a 1-day event. It's 100 people. It's here in Kelowna, BC. It's actually already sold out. And so we have experts coming around the world to talk about AI. Dan is going to be speaking on that because he spends all his time on AI right now on Martell Ventures. And so it's just a good opportunity for people to get together to learn more about AI and how you can use that in your business.
And is it adoption in terms of like tools that you can use within AI, or is it stuff that you guys?
Yeah, so it's here's the greatest. I mean, AI changes every single day, so it's pretty wild on what's going on right now. And then it's really about how you can adopt that into your business. So what we do here is I go by, December 31st, 2025, I want 90% of this media company driven by AI. So I say to all our team is like, listen, I want 90% of your workflow done by AI. It doesn't mean you don't have a job. Guess what? If you look at AI, it's about amplifying you as a human. So the more that you can use AI in your world, in your workflow, in your processes, all the things that, are sort of routine and all that kind of stuff, get AI to do all that. And then you as a human can do the things that you're really good at. So for example, if you're an editor, if we can get AI, and you can get AI to do all the sort of pick and B roll and clips and all that kind of stuff, and then you get this, video ready to go, and you as an editor, what you're doing as a human, you have that touch and feel that you can actually edit that video even way better, but you're not spending the time pulling B roll and different things like that. That's already done for you. So you save hours, right? And then that video is going to be that much better because the process is driven through AI or automation. And then you, as an editor, are doing what you're best at. And AI can't replace what you do in terms of the humanness to the video.
So what, if you don't mind me asking, just out of curiosity, like are you guys using a program? Like, is that coming out of your incubator program, or are you using something that's kind of available on the shelf for people right now in terms of picking B-roll? And I'm just using the editing example.
So we're always looking at different tools because people are developing some awesome tools already out there, and they change every single day. And then we're also, because of what we have at Martell Ventures, we actually have ideas that we're building as we go, and then we try them and see what, how it works. And B-roll is one of them that we've been sort of building on our own right now.
Oh, you are? Okay.
Yeah.
And is that available to the public, or are you guys just using it? You're just just using it internally.
Yeah.
So, listen, that's a bold. What year did you say you want 90% of workflow done by AI by when?
End of this year.
The end of this year. That's a very lofty vision, my friend.
But it is, but it's not, because the tools are out there that, like, it's there right now.
So can you share with me a little bit so the audience knows, like, we are spending I'm in agreement with you, by the way. Just, I probably spend an hour and a half or 2 hours out of each day focused on AI, in terms of, from a visionary perspective of what's possible. And that's like on the learning side. So, I really believe that AI is going to really affect small business and medium-sized businesses in an impactful way. That might be negatively impacted, or because if they could be out of business if they don't get on top of this. And so I'm curious if you could just kind of share the vision of, 90% of workflow by the end of the year through AI, how you got there, what's it look like, how do you execute on it, how are you driving it inside the organization? Just love to hear.
Well, we have an automation sort of expert. We actually are hiring prompt engineers, basically. So the cool thing about, using AI or ChatGPT or Claude, whatever you use, is you need to make sure that the inputs are really good. So there's the creative side of the inputs that you're putting into, let's call it ChatGPT, right? You got to be creative in terms of trying to get to the answers that you need to get to. And that's all about prompt engineering, right? Making sure that happens. And then the next part of that is around the execution. So you can get all these great answers out of AI, ChatGPT, but you have to go do it, right? So it's twofold. Creative, you need to be creative, great prompt engineering in order to get where you want to get to, and then execution against that. But I don't know, it's really simple as starting with, okay, you could be replacing, let's not do that, but you can build easily custom GPTs around whatever role that you happen to be doing. So I have one built. I have all my information in there. I have who I am, what I do, all our values. Like I've loaded it with everything. And then I can actually have discussions or try and prompt different things to try an outcome that I want to go get. And it gives me solutions and ideas. I can load in spreadsheets. Like here's an example is if I do a weekly scorecard that has how our business is performing, I want to have that going through AI. It takes it every single week. It analyzes it and then it actually spits out something for me every single Monday. Talks about here's the insights to where I am in my business, and here's some things that we need to do in order to close those outcomes or insights. So I already have that. And then as I'm going to talk with my leadership team, now I'm already talking about problems to solve. Or it's already given me that, like, because it solves the problems for you already. Like AI does that for you.
Yep.
There's not a problem out there that it couldn't solve for you. Now, because you're the expert in whatever subject you are, you kind of know what you're looking for, and so you're prompted in a way that makes sense versus, a hallucination that comes back and go, well, fuck, that makes no sense. What is that all about? Right.
Right.
So I just look at all the different things that we're doing, like the way that we look at scorecards or our businesses, all that stuff would be driven by AI. It is objective, and it's telling me things that somebody could be sugarcoating something versus give me the way it is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's no filters, right? It's going to be, this is what you're getting, and nobody's trying to save their job or play hide the weenie or whatever,
Right.
It's
So on leadership team, it's part of your leadership team, and it's actually giving you the facts on what the business is going on, and then you as a leadership team you need to address those issues or opportunities, whatever they happen to be. So it's even less bullshit of what could happen in a meeting, right?
Yeah.
It's like, no, this is it. This is the trends. This is what it is. And it's pulling information from all over, right? So that's, yeah.
And are you guys doing this on a closed, like private loop chat GP, like
yeah.
Or do you guys have your own, do you have your own hub or no?
No, we don't have our own hub.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. But you're on a private, like, so it's not, yeah. It's just so people who don't know what we're talking about there, you can get a chat GPT and have it private. So your information that you're uploading isn't like out in the internet everywhere for everybody to see. So
yeah. And there's some things that are completely open because that's what you want to get you want it to learn and give you different perspectives, right?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. And then people build, I'm not super technical, but then there's the RAGs that you build, right? So retrieval, augmented generation, I think it is. I think that's what it stands for, right? So that's another way that basically you're taking everything that's out there with AI goes into a RAG, and then you load your own information, right?
Yep.
So a lot of that going on.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's exactly how they're doing it. And then, how's the team kind of reacted to this? Was there had a massaging period of you kind of bringing this bold goal into the organization, and how well was it received, and what did you have to do to overcome some of the roadblocks that might have popped up?
I don't know, probably beginning of the year, we talked about, hey, everybody should be at least, replace your browser with, ChatGPT or Claude or whatever, and use it every single day. That's kind of how it started, right? And then because we have Martell Ventures and we know Dan spends majority of his time he does on AI, and he's meeting with worldwide experts every single week. We kind of know what's out there and where it's going. And we, like, you have to go there. Like, there's no option. If you're not going to use AI in your business, like, it's not going to be pretty. And so then it just became like, hey, we're doing 90% of our business. We're Martell Media is powered by AI. In order to do that, by the end of the year, I want 90% of this business done by AI. And we go. Doesn't mean you're out of a job. Guess what? It probably means that actually what you like to do, you're going to do more of it.
Sorry, I'm writing a note here because I loved what you just said, and I want to really draw some attention to it. But You said, if you're not using AI in your business, it's not going to be pretty. Can you put some framework around that? Like from your perspective, where you see that going in the next few years? What are some of the downsides? I mean, what are the upsides? But I couldn't agree more with you. Like I really am, I have a very high level of concern. Especially like for me, it's like, I'm not doing this to make money. I don't have this podcast. Like there's a zero revenue generation. Like this is the worst business model for a business podcast that has ever been conceptualized on the planet. It's like, I mean, we are bringing out, and because of my concerns, we are going to bring out some, some coaching and mentorship on, these topics, because I'm unbelievably concerned for, many businesses, small or medium size, that if they don't get on this, it's like you said, it's not going to be pretty. So if you don't mind lending your perspective.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you think back when the internet first came on, there was people that adopted right away and then people didn't, but ultimately that's where it went, right? And so I don't see that being any different for AI. And then if you think about, especially like smaller businesses and things like that, like there is, AI generated, like people that book appointments, voice callers, right? So you don't have to have people that do that anymore. It's actually driven. I've seen it, right? It's voice, it's AI voice, and they book appointments for you, and they're qualifying people, and it's not a person that you need to do that anymore. Guess what? You need a person to actually close and have a discussion with those potential clients, but you don't need somebody to qualify anymore. Right? So then think about that. All you're doing is hiring somebody who's a good closer or a good salesperson. You don't need people to do all that sort of admin or workflow that you used to do. So why wouldn't you get on that so that you're saving yourself time and energy and costs? And oh, by the way, you're now hiring somebody who's really good at, say, closing, and that's going to lead to more revenue, which revenue solves all problems. So why wouldn't you do that?
Yeah.
So then people are like, well, I don't know if it actually, it sounds kind of weird. It won't do what I ask it to do. Like, but just try it. Like it learns.
Well, and that's the thing, right? It's like and it learns fast, and it only takes one time. Whereas like, a human being, that's the downside of being human is we sometimes need a series of, uh, uh, experiences in order to get the lesson, and AI doesn't. It immediately learns from a corrected mistake.
Yeah, I think it's, I think people who are not, again, just my opinion, but even friends of mine and stuff like that, they're sort of a little hesitant, probably more hesitant because they're afraid of their jobs or whatever that happens to be. But again, I look at it as, man, if you use it right, it just amplifies of who you are and what you do, and get on it.
So are you guys using these AI bots for the lead gen and qualifying leads? Are you guys currently using those now?
No, we don't do that in Martell Media. We have another business that I run that's what we do. That's what we're playing around with. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Okay. And then do you guys have any experience on the AI agents that they're starting to work on now, where you're actually like in a conversation virtually with somebody and it literally looks like they're real life?
Yeah, I mean, our Martell Venture spends way more time on it than sort of I do, but yeah, like all that is all like, I mean, it can do unbelievable stuff. Like it really can. And think about the coaching world too, is, different avatars and things like that. If you can load up all the information from a coaching perspective, and then you have these avatars that are basically, talking to you, and you get access 24/7, and it's learning and it's providing, like that's a pretty cool place to go.
Yeah. When you think about like customer service, and I just, these AI avatars that they're building, I have a friend who is, head of worldwide cloud for a company. I won't use their name because it's like it's a household name. and they're working right now. Actually, not right now. They've been working on it for well over a year, maybe even close to 2 years. But they were working on AI avatars right now, where you call and you have a customer service issue. It's, you can basically select, do you prefer speaking to women or men? Do you, is it, Caucasian? Like, you could pick anything, nationality, accent, language. Like, they can speak to you in your, if you're Chinese, you can have them communicate in Chinese. And it's like, I mean, when you call a customer service center now, most people have a prompt on a computer, and they type something in. Like, they really don't know the answer to the question. They're putting in your prompt into a computer, and then it pops up on their policy and procedure manual or their systems operations or their SOPs or whatever it is. And they're basically reading, what they're supposed to do next while they have you on the phone. But this is all going to get replaced by an instant AI avatar that eventually is going to, that's how customer service is going to be handled.
Yeah. And I think it's one of those things that, you don't know where it's going to go, but I do strongly believe that if you don't adapt to it, like I say, it's not going to be pretty. And I think if you're, as a entrepreneur, business owner, like, there's so many opportunities that allows you to automate your workflow and become more efficiency. And actually it would provide a better client experiences than what's happening right now. Speed, execution. And then again, that allows you to focus on things that you can create a competitive advantage to yourself. Right. And so, that's the way I look at it anyways.
So what do you say to a business owner or a business leader who's going, oh my, like, how do I do this? I'm already strapped for time. I can barely keep up. We're coming off a COVID coma or we're in a COVID coma, sorry. And, revenue's down, and, resources are less available, and they're strapped and pulled and all that kind of stuff. And then they're like, I don't have time for this AI stuff. Like, I'll figure it out when it gets here, which it's already here. But what's your?
Well, my thing is, I don't know, let's do a calendar audit. Let's see how you're spending your time. And so you may say you don't have any time because you're spending your time on stuff that actually makes no sense. Right. So I do it all the time. And I always, have my assistant doing a calendar audit. She sees where I'm spending my time, and then I'll change where I think I need to go. So when I was still learning about AI, and still am, I have a block in there for AI in my calendar. And that's an appointment that I treat, that I go do it. Yes, I could get pulled away, but I'm not. And so I always start with, how are you spending your time? If it's important, if it's important to you, then you make sure you have the time to do it. And there's maybe some things that need to fall off. You're maybe hanging on to something that you think is important, or you don't want to let it go. You don't want to delegate. Like, that's a whole nother issue, right? But yeah, it just goes back into your calendar for me. It always does.
Yeah. Can you talk about, we do calendar audits, but I'd love to hear what your process is, or how you do it specifically, because I think this is a key. Like, if you're not doing a calendar audit every 3 months, so please, if you don't mind.
Yeah. So my assistant Justine, she'll actually go through my calendar, and she just looks at all my meetings, and she categorizes into, people. Obviously, there's people. There's the different businesses that I run. So she sees how much time I'm spending. So she just adds up all the hours I'm spending in all my different activities, whether it's the meetings, what are they for? How do I is it people, interviews? Is it strategic work? Am I spending any time doing strategic work? AI, systems and processes. So all the different things that I think drive the business. And then I also have some time for me, right? What's my personal development? What am I creating the connections that I want to do? So that's in my calendar as well too.
And does she do your personal schedule too? Like your personal time with family? Yeah. Okay, great.
She does. Yeah.
And do you get this every week, or is this a daily?
No, it'll be, for sure quarterly. If there's a fundamental change to something that I think I'm not, it'll be, hey, listen, this is what I'm thinking of doing. I need to actually change some time here. And then she'll do, okay, I'll do a calendar audit, and we'll see what that looks like. And then I'll bring it to you, and then we can make the adjustments.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
But the
That's
AI
awesome.
thing, that again, that goes like, same with me, is like, oh, I don't have the time for it. Well, okay, I need to figure out a way to do it.
Yeah, it's like saying you don't have time to work out. It's like, well, okay, if you want to die at 75 of a heart attack or whatever, it's, fill your boots. Like,
And then just, and then the end, after every single week, I look back at my calendar and I'll go, did I do what I said I was going to do in my calendar? What? Yes, great. No. Okay. What were the challenges? Why I didn't do this particular task? Is it a energy thing? I don't like where that is. I need to change it. I have to do that task, but I don't like where it is because I don't have the energy to do it. So I'm always tweaking it, although the essence of it is the same. I'm just tweaking different things to make sure that I'm being the most productive I can be.
yeah. While we're talking about calendar, actually, if you don't mind me asking, like, how do you manage your calendar? What does it look like? How do you utilize your assistant in that area? I think it's always interesting to hear what different leaders are using and doing.
Yeah. So first of all, like my executive, she manages all my calendar, all my emails. I don't do any of that. So what we do is we have, I'll get into my calendar specifically, but she manages my inbox. Okay. So we have a 30-minute sync every single day, and I'll go through my list. Then from there, we actually go through my calendar, the previous day's meetings, if there's any follow-ups that I have to give to her. Then we'll roll through the next week and 4 weeks of my calendar, any changes to it. And there's certain times that we review farther than that. And then she'll go through her update on her. Then we go through her emails. She'll handle all the emails that she can answer. If there's something that she needs my guidance or whatever, she'll bring that to that meeting and I'll give her some direction on that. And then she'll go through her project topics, and we do that every single day. But my calendar is my mornings. I'm a morning person. I get up at 4 a.m. I read in the mornings, have a pre-morning breakfast. Then I'm at the gym by 5 a.m. between 5 and 5:30, depending on the day. I go work out for an hour. And then I'm, come back, have a shower. Then I'm usually in the studio by 7:30 ish, and full days. And then have my evenings for my family or some downtime or some more work. But yeah, my mornings, I'm a morning person.
Yeah. Yeah. And do you typically block times for certain things?
Yes.
Areas of the business? And then does she fill in those times for you? Like, you'll say, hey, like, this is my time for this business or this, area, this department.
Yeah. So for example, I'll have a block of time. It could be, let's call it, performance review, and it's in there. It'd be, if there's something that I need to review on, say, a scorecard or results, she'll plug it in there for me, so I know, and she'll put it in my calendar. Here's a link to the document that I want, so that it's there when I go into that time block. The links to the document that I'm going to be reviewing is there. Like I said, Wednesdays is my people day, so interviews or one-on-ones, not one-on-ones, but quarterly reviews, that happens on Wednesdays. I have blocks for Mondays is one company with Martell Media. So I do my leadership sync. I do my one-on-one direct reports on Mondays. Tuesdays is for another company that I run. Same thing, their leadership meeting and their one-on-ones. And then Wednesdays and Thursdays is people day. Fridays is a little bit more open for me because I like to get caught up on some work or just go meet with people and kind of shoot the shit here and talk to people and all that kind of stuff, particularly in the afternoons. So yeah,
that's great. Guys, what gets scheduled is what gets done. And no kidding, I can see why you guys are killing it over there.
So like my calendar has my drive time. So if I was going to the gym, it's got drive to the gym, at the gym, drive home.
Oh, wow.
All that. It's all,
that's really detailed. Oh, wow.
Yeah. Everything's detailed.
Okay. And then you just auto plug that stuff in though. So they're recurring and it's
you're
entering.
Yeah. My workout. So this, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm curious. So I was just listening to a podcast and they were talking about Elon and this guy was actually scheduling a meeting with Elon. He knows him. And so he was scheduling and he said, hey, like who should we, get our people to reach out to on your end to schedule this in the calendar? And Elon's answer was, well, just me. He goes, just reach out to me. And he's like, do you manage your own calendar? He goes, oh, 100%. Like he goes, nobody. And there was another, he mentioned another really big, I think it was Google, the guys at Google, that they got rid of their assistants, executive assistants. I don't know if they got rid of their executive assistants, but they took over their own calendars. And I'm curious if I just literally heard it maybe Monday or Tuesday. And so it's like something I've been like, that's interesting. Because I do find sometimes, like, especially with people I know, like if they're scheduling a podcast and I know the person like intimately, and, sometimes it's easier just to kind of connect directly and, versus having an assistant reach out to another assistant who's reaching out to the principal and they're coming back to me. And it's like, why are we doing this? But I'm curious on your thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty wild to me, actually. The people that
and I don't know if it's true. So, I don't know if it's true, but I literally heard it on a new podcast like a couple of days ago.
I mean, to each their own. But I think an executive assistant is so key because I like together. I'm more not powerful, but I'm more productive by having the two of us because we're basically conquering and dividing. Mm-hmm. Right. And so that to me is, again, how do I leverage my time? How do I leverage what I need to do? As I have my assistant who is doing all that sort of stuff. I mean, there was a time that I didn't have an assistant, and I did all that. But the amount of time that I spent trying to go back and forth, I can't meet this time, then I got to go here, or it's a lot of time. Mm-hmm. And so I'm a huge believer in having an assistant who's really talented, by the way. Like they are, when you're not there, they're representing you and they're moving the business forward. All right. So they're checking up on things, because it's easy for me to go through a meeting and then I'll be like, hey, Justine, make sure we follow up on that, because I could say something. I want to make sure that gets closed loop. Or you're in a Slack message and I ask everybody if you're tagging me, you're tagging my assistant, because she scans it and she'll bring anything to me that needs to be addressed right away or at our next sync. Like, so I don't have to worry about it. I'm just moving.
Yep. Yeah. Listen, I'm on your side. Like, I think if you want your business to grow beyond you, and I mean, look, like depending on the business you're in, you could have, it could be, if the restaurant business, you're a manager or supervisor in the restaurant, it might be a more key hire than, say, an executive assistant. But at some level, your business is going to get to the point where it needs to get beyond you. And I'm a firm believer that, one of the first hires to do that is an executive assistant. It's like, it changed my life when I got my first one, whatever, 15 to 20 years ago, probably. But
yeah, I mean, I think it goes, it's all those limiting beliefs. I mean, I was there before, right? I can do it. Why would I hire somebody to do that? That's easy. I can do it. Right. But then it goes, well, it's unblocking me. Like, it unblocks me to go to another level. And so once you get your head wrapped around that, then it's like, oh, okay. And once you've got it there, then it makes so much sense, because as long as you're replacing your time with the value that is going to grow the business or whatever it happens to be, that's the key to it, right? You can, as Dan taught you, buy back your time. But when you buy back your time, you need to be, it's not like you're just sitting around doing nothing. You're actually replacing that time with value that only you can deliver. So if you're an awesome salesperson, you love driving revenue, then you just bought back your time to go get more revenue for the company. That's super valuable.
Right.
That's the key to it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think there's like, how do you put bumpers on it with, is it Justine? I think you said her name.
Yeah. Justine. Yes.
So how do you put bumpers on it? Because I mean, I hear a lot from a lot of people who don't have assistants, like, well, I don't want my time to be taken up by somebody who, like, I don't want to spend it. So I control my time myself. So, well, okay, but you could put some bumpers on it. How do you do that?
Yeah, we have, like, if there's somebody who wants to meet with me, for example, and I don't know them or whatever it is, she'll bring it forward to me. And, she also knows that, any new meetings, you're going to get 15 minutes with me. You're not going to get longer. So there is parameters that we have in there. There's parameters about, in the mornings from this time to this time, this is how I like to spend my time. That's my time. That's I'm learning or whatever. Yeah. So we talk about the parameters within the calendar, and then she operates within that. And if there's anything that's sort of not in there, then she'll bring it to my attention and say, hey, I had to put this there because of this, but I moved that there. You know what I mean? Like, and she knows me enough because she comes to my meetings. Like, she knows me enough how I make decisions, how I like to do things, and then holds me accountable. And then she holds me accountable to make sure that I'm doing the things that I should be doing, which is the other key part. It's not just about a one-way whatever. If you have the right person, they're holding you accountable to make sure that you're pushing yourself to go to another level as well too.
I literally had this conversation yesterday. I said, it's never about, especially like for executive, literally yesterday I had this conversation and I said, this is not about, a one-way relationship. This is what I refer to it as, this is a collaboration. It's like, when with your executive assistant, and like in your situation, Justine's in a lot of shit because we're an hour and 45 minutes over your 15-minute limit. And you're like, how the hell did I get on this podcast with this asshole?
Yeah, exactly.
Man.
But yeah, no, it's super important. And I thrive on direct feedback. So, especially for the people that I respect and I want them to influence me, I love that. So the more feedback that I get around pushback, and not pushback, but just, hey, you said this, or you're not doing this, or whatever, I thrive on that because that's going to get me to my better self, whatever that looks like.
Yeah, I love it, man. Listen, this has been a fantastic conversation. It really, really has. You and I could probably, I don't know if you drink, but I like old fashioned. So we could have a cigar and an old fashioned or a couple, just shooting the breeze about this stuff. And I could go on, but because I just love business and I love what you guys are doing. And I think you're bringing a lot of value to the world and to business owners. And I encourage, people to check you guys out. And, but is there anything else, like any parting shots or anything that you'd kind of like to impose in terms of your experience or what you guys are doing?
Yeah. I don't know. I think there's so much opportunity in the world, and just, I don't know, dream big, be kind, go have some fucking fun. I think that's what I would say.
Words well spoken. Honestly, it's like, to me, it's the greatest time to be alive. And if you're in business, there's just so much fun and opportunity, and there's been a great conversation, Todd. Like, thank you so much for being on the show and having this conversation. I know we get feedback all the time, and I can visualize, guys that I know that are listening to this podcast on a consistent basis. And I know they're going to be driving, listening to it going, oh my God, like this is really, really, really good stuff. So, I thank you very, very much for getting on with us today and sharing your experience and your stories. And it's been awesome. How do people find you? If they're looking for coaching, but what you guys got going on with, Martell Media and.
Yeah. So if they're interested in, we have the awesome coaching program. So if they want to DM, they can DM Dan, just do Dwayne podcast and drop an Instagram. And me personally, I'm at Tod Melnyk.
Awesome. I will say, I have a friend that uses Dan's coaching and he is nothing but raves about the results from it. And so, I've not done it personally with your organization, but I know somebody who I hold in extremely high regard. And so guys, as you all know, I'm a big fan of coaching, and if you don't have one, you should have one. So I would look these guys' way to kind of fill that spot if you need it, and you probably do. So Tod, thanks so much, buddy. Appreciate it. This has been an awesome conversation, and I'm super grateful for you being here today.
Great. It was a pleasure. Thanks for the invite, and nice meeting you both. See you, Heather. See you, Dwayne. Ciao.
Thanks for listening. I appreciate you being with us. If you found value in the show and know a friend or coworker who could benefit from this conversation, please share the link via text or on social media. Remember, each share creates a ripple effect of knowledge and inspiration, and if this podcast has supported you in any way, please support us by clicking the follow or subscribe button. It helps us to improve the delivery of top quality content moving forward.
The views, information, or opinions expressed by guests during the Dwayne Kerrigan podcast are solely those of the individuals involved and do not necessarily represent those of Dwayne Kerrigan and his affiliates. Dwayne Kerrigan or the Dwayne Kerrigan podcast is not responsible for and does not verify the accuracy of any of the information contained in the podcast series. The primary purpose of this podcast is to educate and inform. Listeners are advised to consult with a qualified professional or specialist before making any decisions based on the content of this podcast.